Okay, I'm going to show you how to freeze blanched produce from the garden. And today I'm doing beans and peas. Now I have pickled a bunch and sealed those in quarts, and then I want to blanch a few and freeze them in these bags so then you can grab them out in the winter time and have fresh garden produce that's fresh frozen. And you can make things out of it like stir fry and egg bakes and all kinds of really good things. So you have to blanch them first so that they don't turn bad when they freeze or get freezer burnt. Someone's having a little berries and whipped cream here. All right, so what I did is I blanched these, and then I put them in a cool water bath so that they stopped cooking. So they're all ready to go. I have the tips taken off, and now what you need to do is these bags come with this food saver, and I just write the date and what's on there, because that way you know exactly when you put them in there. I mean, it's pretty obvious when they're peas and beans, but I always write it on there. So then you just fill this bag with all your goodies. Obviously, I washed my hands. You want these to be nice and clean. You don't want anything icky getting in there. And what this does is it removes all the air from the bag so that when you have them in the freezer, they're not going to get freezer burnt and turn icky in the freezer, so they can last for months. So this is my steamer basket that I took out of my pan. Now you don't want to fill these bags all the way to the top because you do need some space at the top for it to seal. So what I do is I put it in here, and there's this little tray that you put the top into, and that's what seals and sucks the air out. And then what I do is I kind of disperse them up so that it lays nice and flat. If you have everything wadded in the bottom, you can't stack stuff as nice in the freezer. So you put it in there, make sure nothing's getting smashed in the door. Put this down, and then you choose in the selections. There's you can do fast or slow or dry or wet. And if you're doing something like tomatoes where there's going to be a lot of juice, you're going to do the wet selection, and it doesn't suck as much out because otherwise a whole ton of liquid comes out and it goes into the machine. And there is a little drip catcher in there too, but these are dry. I mean, they're just damp from being blanched. So then you lock this door down, and then you just hit vacuum and seal. And I'm going to move it down a little bit so you can see exactly what it does. And then it's sealing now. There's a little strip in there that gets really hot and actually melts the bag. So it seals shut, and then it turns off when it's done. Then you just unlock the door, open it up, and here you have a nice bag of green beans, and they're going to stay nice and fresh. And when you open them up, they're going to be wonderful. And I just do this with a ton of beans and peas in the summertime, and then all winter long we have fresh organic produce that we don't have to buy at the store, and then I know exactly where it came from, and it's a wonderful thing. And if you have them nice and flat, just stack them in the freezer, and you can have them stacked up high. Just grab and go for meals. And this is one of my favorite ways to preserve all of our garden stuff because it's so easy. And these bags are pretty inexpensive. I just get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. I think you can. I know you can order them online too, but I use my little 20% off coupon and get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. So I hope that you find this method helpful too, and freeze up all those beans and peas that you just cannot eat when they all start coming in all at once. Okay, here is another example of how I use my food saver for garden produce. Now, I'm sure if you have planted zucchini, you know that you get a ton of them. I can't tell you how many times I have nabbed some from work even this year because we eat a lot of it, but everyone's bringing them into work. They don't know what to do with the excess of zucchini. Well, I love to freeze them. So I take everything we have from our garden and then some and freeze it up. And the easiest way to do it is you just take the zucchini, and I have this mandolin here. Now to be careful, these are very sharp. But you want to take off this end where the blossom was. You just slice it off like that, nice and clean. And actually, I think I'm going to do this into a bowl. It's a little bit easier. You put the mandolin over top of the bowl, like this, and you just slice it into rounds. Super easy. And now these don't need to be blanched or steamed or anything like that. They can just be frozen as is. Now, if you wanted to, you could make these into zucchini chips. Now, you want to be really careful when you're getting down to the stem because you don't want to cut your fingers. So, there they are, nice and round and perfect. And those can be frozen just like that. Now, I love to make zucchini hot dish out of these. So, I'm going to cut off the end. There we go. And again. some of the things that I use these for, zucchini hot dish obviously is one of my favorites. You just line a pan, you cook some bacon, then you leave the bacon grease in the pan, then you line it with the zucchini and thin sliced onions. You layer that, you put the lid back on, you let that steam until they're cooked, then you layer it with tomatoes on top of that, and then you let that cook for a little while, then you put cheese on top, put the bacon back on top, put the lid on for just a few minutes to get the cheese to melt, and it's the zucchini hot dish. It's amazing. It's a one-pot meal, and my kids love it. Everybody loves it. It's so good. So these are perfect for that in the winter. You just take it out, put it in the pan, and you've got zucchini. Like I said, you can make zucchini chips. You can also use these to layer in a pan and make lasagna. Just layer them like this, all in a row. Instead of the noodles, you use these. You can use them in a variety of different hot dishes. So this is just a really nice thing to have on hand. Again, here is the Food Saver bag. I just write what it is, the date, and then you just put them in here. Easy as can be. And again, you don't want to fill your bag too full because then it won't fit in that nice little chamber in there that sucks all the air out. And I've learned my lesson doing that, and you end up taking a bunch of stuff out. You can fit quite a bit of zucchini in a bag. Actually, I'm probably going to fit all of this in there. So, I just put it right in here. Stick that down into the chamber. Make sure that these are not going to get stuck right here because that has to lay flat. Here is the little thing that seals it. It gets really hot and it seals the plastic. And then here is the chamber that it needs to fit into. So you close it down, you lock it, and then hit vacuum and seal, and then I just kind of flatten it out. And now it's sealing. You can sometimes hear it sizzle a little bit and then it turns off when it's done. There we go. You just unlock it, open it up, and here is a big bag of zucchini. This is at least a meal's worth. So this is dinner. If you just had some tomatoes and onions and some bacon and cheese, you're set. So that is how I take care of all my zucchini that I have in my garden. So I hope you find this useful too, because I'd hate to have you bring all that fresh produce into work and just give it away when you can just save it like this and have it all winter long. Hi guys, today I wanted to show you how I do my version of canning. Now I've done the traditional process where you boil all the jars and you let them dry and then you pack them and then you put them in the water bath and you heat them that way, and that's great and wonderful and the food lasts for a long time. But I find that process to be kind of tedious unless you're doing it with like a group of women like I've done with my family in the past, where it's the aunts and the cousins and everybody gets together and everybody's got a different step, which is great. It makes quick work of canning a lot of food. But if you just want to can, for example, a bunch of beans that I pickled and some sauerkraut that I don't have 20 jars full, I just have 6, and I just want to seal them up, this is the way that I do it. And my Food Saver is another really, really great gadget that I use in my kitchen that we use to blanch and freeze things. It comes with the plastic bags that you can freeze them in. You just trim this and then freeze them in that. It keeps it from getting all freezer burnt. They last for months. I did that with our zucchini and with a lot of our green beans and peas. You blanch them first and put it in there. Didn't have to blanch the zucchini though. So we're not going to be using that feature, but we're going to be using the canister feature of it, which is awesome. So you got to make sure it's locked. And now I bought these lids just actually at the hardware store. You can get them at Target or like a Fleet and Farm store or anything like that. These are just the regular canning lids. The ball jar canning lids, and I got the wide mouth ones. And I still follow the same directions. They say to boil and simmer them. So I have these hot lids here, simmered and steaming and ready to go. So this is a jar of my pickled beans, and you can find a recipe for this on my blog. It's just a quick and easy pickled bean recipe. You just make a brine, you pour it over top, you let them sit in the fridge. They're actually ready to eat, and they smell so good. They have dill and hot peppers and garlic in them, so they're really good. They're garlicky dilly green beans. So hot, I use a little scooper here to pull it out, a tong, and then you want to get it good and centered on there. And the reason why you boil it is because you don't want to introduce any bacteria in there, because then that's going to grow and it's going to defeat the whole purpose of sealing it up, because you're sealing the bad stuff in. So you want to make sure that there's no food like on the rim that's going to trap it in. And then you just put this on top. Make sure it's got a nice tight seal. Make sure this is on. Nice sealed on there. And then you just hit canister. That's it. Now you take this off carefully. You don't want to peel that lid right off, but it is nice and sealed. You can tell that it's sealed because if you tap on the top, there's no give. If you have something that you've canned, like with the water bath method that I was talking about, because when you do that method, you can just store it on a shelf and you don't have to worry about it. But if you have a seal that has popped up, throw that away because it could be bad. So you don't want that to pop up. So then you don't even need to put the metal rim on. This is sealed and good to go. I keep these in the fridge because it's not the water bath method, but it is sealed and these will last for a very long time. So that's my green beans. And this is what the canister looks like. It's really slick. I mean, this feature is awesome. And then I just throw these in the dishwasher and we're good to go. And I'm going to do, I have sauerkraut here, which I make a quart of that a week. Green beans there. Here's some cucumbers. I made some pickle slices. That brine recipe that I have on my blog, you can really use any kind of vegetable with it. You could do carrots, you could do beets. This is just cucumber slices that I used a mandolin, quick sliced them, done, took me minutes. These are banana peppers. I got these, they were selling like crazy at the co-op or at the farmer's market the other day for really, really inexpensive, and they were organic and from someone's garden, so I have a ton of these. These are nice and spicy. They go really well on Bloody Marys. Not that I'm having those right now, but that's just, you know, something to keep for the future. And then my dilly beans, which I love, my kids love. You can flavor them with all different kinds of things. You can have dill, you can have garlic, you can have pepper. When I'm really wild and crazy, I put habaneros in, and they're really spicy and delicious, and I'm pretty much the only one who likes that, but they're really, really good. So that's a really, really good way to preserve all your garden produce and make quick work of it. And here comes the princess. So I hope you found this useful.